Thinking back to our house structure, we're going to further explore the writing strand of the Common Core State Standards and be able to identify a progression of thinking through the writing strand, as well as to make some connections back to the reading strand. So thinking of the reading strand, remember the first 3 standards are clustered under the heading of key ideas and details. And those standards had to do with a student being able to identify the author's message in a piece of text. Taking a closer look at the writing strand, the first 3 standards are under the heading of text types and purposes. These 3 standards set the stage for the writer and really help them to be thinking of the purpose that they're writing. So we'll notice here that the 3 standards really have to focus on the broad types of writing that students would be engaged in. For example, narrative, informative, explanatory, or opinion types of writing. Note here that there's multiple genres that can be included underneath each of these text types. What we really want to key students into is making the connection back to the reading strand. That in those key ideas and detail standards, they're reading in order to say, what is the author trying to tell me? Whereas in writing, underneath these standards, they'd be asking themselves as an author, what is the message that I'm trying to tell my audience, and what text type is going to effectively help me communicate that message? Looking at the next section of the writing strand, you will notice the heading of Production and Distribution of Writing, standards 4, 5, and 6. These standards key the writer into effective techniques that they can utilize in order to best communicate their message. So we'll notice here standards that have to do with students moving through the writing process or creating coherent pieces of writing. These are all craft choices that an author makes in order to enhance the telling of their message. Thinking of these production and distribution standards, we want to connect back to that writing strand and really think about those craft and structure standards. So standards 4, 5, and 6 in reading under craft and structure ask students to really be reading with an author's eye, or really be considering the choices an author has made in order to communicate their message. In writing, we'll ask the students to take the seat as the writer and really be making those thoughtful choices themselves in their writing. Standards 7, 8, and 9 in the writing strand are clustered under the heading of Research to Build and Present Knowledge. These standards really ask students to take an academic approach to writing and really be able to utilize information gained from multiple sources in order to write about it and truly build their knowledge about a topic. Connecting back to the reading standards 7, 8, and 9, those standards are under the heading of Integration of Knowledge and Ideas. Remember, the Integration of Knowledge and Ideas cluster is where we have students grow those bumps on their brain, where they really truly are learning from the content that they're reading about. In writing, we're going to ask students to express the thinking that they've learned from engaging with multiple texts on a topic. The last standard in the writing strand is under the heading of Range of Writing. This standard asks for students to write for short and extended time frames and for a variety of purposes, audiences, and tasks. This standard is truly the application of the writing process and really develops a well-balanced writer who's able to write for different types of purposes and for different tasks. Standard 10 in the writing strand connects straight back to Standard 10 in the reading strand. We know that in reading, Standard 10, or having students read for that range of level of text complexity, is really the ultimate goal for reading instruction. Standard 10 in writing is also the goal for writing instruction. That we're able to develop writers who can write for a variety of purposes and who can accommodate their writing style and technique based on the audience that they're writing for. Considering that there are clear parallels between the build of the reading strand as well as the writing strand, we want to be sure to take careful consideration to both of those strands as we plan instruction for students. Since reading and writing are reciprocal processes, we want to ensure that as students are gathering information from text, we're providing the channels for them to be able to express what they've learned through their writing. This is a shift in instruction for us, in really having students utilize text as a springboard for their thinking and their writing.